The King of Monsters has evolved a great deal since Godzilla was created 68 years ago. Every few years, filmmakers develop a new take on what Godzilla should be. When this happens, he tends to go through a few design changes, and sometimes Godzilla's origin story is altered as well. And that was just the case with the MonsterVerse G-Man that we're going to discuss in more detail today. You see, Legendary reinvented Godzilla for the MonsterVerse with a fearsome new look. Unlike Toho's Godzilla, the MonsterVerse version wasn't created by radiation. Instead, he was an ancient monster known as a Titan that was merely awakened by the atom bombs. Now, in this amazing world of the MonsterVerse, Godzilla acts as the planet's self-appointed protector. He rises up to do battle with other Titans when the balance of nature is threatened. But just how much do we know about this incarnation of the Godzilla species? Well, that's exactly what we're here to find out today. On that note, welcome back to Factaholic, and let's get them straight. So, in the MonsterVerse, the Titanus Gojira species managed to survive various extinction events by escaping into the Hollow Earth and consuming the radiation to survive. Over the course of millions of years, the Godzillas fought against their ancient enemies, the Mutos, and many were eliminated, but the Alpha Titans fought back. At some point in the ancient past, Kong species came into existence in the Hollow Earth and a war broke out between the two great races. There are many theories as to why the monsters waged war. Godzilla's kind didn't like how Kong's kind were advancing and disrupting balance, or the Kongs wanted control over the power source of the Hollow Earth. No one really knows. Both sides suffered terrible losses, and Kong's kind went as far to make weapons out of deceased Godzilla parts. Evidence suggests that Godzilla's kind won because the Kongs were said to have retreated from the Hollow Earth and made home on Skull Island. However, the number of Godzillas had fallen critically that they were possibly picked off by their ancient parasite rivals. However, Kong's kind also ended up at the mercy of new, more terrifying enemies, the Skullcrawlers. The most recent deceased Godzilla was Dagon, who was killed by Muto Prime in the 11th century. After the Mutos had run out of Titans to feed off of, their numbers began to decline too. This is why Godzilla is the last of his kind, due to the sheer number of rivals his kind had to face in order to preserve the balance of nature. But with that being said, let's shift our focus on Dagon too. So, sometime in the 11th century BC, a group of Phoenicians traveled to the Japanese islands where they encountered a massive beast that they believed for their god, Dagon. There, they bear witness to a battle between Dagon and a massive monster that the Japanese called the Jinshin Mushi. A fierce battle broke out between the two, but eventually Dagon was defeated by the earthquake beetle and infected with his adversary's parasitic offspring. Following the defeat, after a little while, Dagon regained consciousness and returned to the sea. Seeing this, the Phoenicians thought he lived on, but as the days passed, he finally collapsed and died in the Philippines. Thousands of years later, Dagon's skeleton was discovered in 1999 AD, releasing 2 new Muto spores that had hatched within him. This was when the Godzilla that we all know and adore, who was another member of the same species as Dagon, killed both Mutos in 2014 before they could breed. The Big G later even destroys the Jinshin Mushi when it emerged to try to implant its larva inside him. In this way, the Big G took revenge for the death of his fellow species and took out the Muto Prime 2 in the process, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. However, it seems like Dagon isn't the only other members of the Godzilla species that we know of. After all, Godzilla vs. Kong did reveal the remains of another member of the Goji family that seemed to be way larger and a little different than the King of the Monsters. As regards to the way it looks, the only distinguishing feature of this ancient Godzilla is a head that is substantially larger than Godzilla's. But apart from that, it also possesses sharper teeth, including 2 massive, noticeable upper canine teeth, as well as somewhat larger front-facing optical cavities. The Titanus Kong superspecies perhaps used a massive axe as a weapon to finish off this super member of the Godzilla species in the ancient Titan War, because Kong found the axe weapon wedged within its head. Now, keeping all that data aside, what really stood out to me about this particular ancient G-Man is the fact that it's by far the largest ever member of our Godzilla species ever seen. Also, according to our rough analysis, the massive beast would have probably stood at a height of anywhere between 650 to 700 feet. So, looking at those size figures, it's hard to imagine this ancient Godzilla being taken out so easily. And my bet is that it most likely took a dozen Kongs ganging up on him, with one finishing it off with a well-placed strike to the skull. I bet that learning about this, it's tough not to want a separate movie about the ancient Titan War. Hopefully, it'll become a reality. We'll just have to wait and see now. So, we now know about 3 different members of the Godzilla species, and that each one was kinda different, with Chu being taken out a long time ago. However, having said that, there's Titanus Doug coming to the picture. But it sure doesn't even look like a Titan, or even a minor Titan for that matter. It kinda looks more like a critter. So this beast, being from the Godzilla species, would be kinda hard to digest. And seems like it actually isn't. But it does share a few connections. This comes courtesy of the art book Godzilla vs. Kong, One Will Fall, The Art of the Ultimate Battle Royale, where it suggests that the Hollow Earth lizards, that is, all the Dougs, are actually an offshoot species of the Titanus Gojira evolutionary lineage, with the lizards' jagged dorsal plates and general appearance being indicators of this relation. So yeah, no wonder Doug is so popular among Goji fans. There's also the fact that Adam Wingard promised in a Reddit AMA that if Legendary does let him make another MonsterVerse movie after Godzilla vs. Kong, he will definitely bring back Doug, as the monster has a lot more to give, with rumors about Son of Kong being in development with Wingard attached as director. That chance might be right around the corner. Given that Son of Kong would presumably be set in Hollow Earth, with the focus being on much smaller monsters, an appearance or cameo from Doug feels like a no-brainer. All in all, by now we seem to have quite some information about the revered Godzilla species, and as Dr. Vivian Graham described Godzilla in the 2014 movie, the top of the primordial ecosystem, a god for all intents and purposes. Sure does seem like the Godzilla species was a species of gods. Gods, most of whom were wiped out to the point of extinction, with only one surviving and ruling the planet as the Alpha, god and king of all the Titans out there. And with that, we're at the end of this video too. Thanks for watching. Also, if you did love this video, then don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell icon too.